You've seen it in films, read it in books, and imagined it in quiet moments. England. A place where red buses weave through historic streets, cozy pubs glow with golden light, and fog rolls across green hills dotted with sheep. Now, that dream is becoming real. You're going, of course your mind goes first to London. How could it not? The Tower Bridge, Westminster, Buckingham Palace. But as you begin to plan, you discover something that seasoned travelers know well. England is much more than London. You learn about the Cotswolds, where honey-colored cottages line sleepy lanes and rolling fields stretch into the mist. You imagine visiting Liverpool, home of the Beatles and full of unexpected vibrancy. Then there's the Lake District, all wild beauty and poetry, and the Peak District, less famous but no less stunning. Suddenly, your map fills with names you'd never considered before, and your itinerary begins to shift. You promise yourself this won't be a surface-level visit. You'll start in London, yes, because how could you not? But you'll also carve out time for a few off-the-beaten-path gems. Small towns with personality, coastal villages, places where life moves just a bit more slowly. As you begin researching where to stay, two surprises greet you. First, Premier Inn, a budget chain you've never heard of, but one that travelers rave about. Reliable, clean, and affordable, and strangely absent from big booking sites. You make a note to book directly on their site. Second, pubs that double as inns. Not only are pubs places to grab a pint, in England, they're often cozy places to sleep too. Rooms above the bar, creaky staircases, and maybe a full English breakfast in the morning. It feels like the kind of experience you didn't even know you were looking for. You begin to see that this trip will be layered, a blend of big and small, fast and slow. England will offer you cities, yes, but also villages that feel like postcards and landscapes where time seems to pause. You close your laptop, your heart beating just a bit faster. You're not just visiting England. You're about to explore a storybook, one chapter, one pint, one cobblestone lane at a time. Now that your destination list is growing, there's a new question. When should you go? You'd imagined England in springtime, blossoms in Hyde Park, lambs dotting green hills. But the more you research, the more you realize that England is a year-round destination, and each season offers something entirely unique. Spring is soft and colorful. Gardens come alive, cherry trees explode in pink, and the countryside begins to thaw into its romantic green. There's something gentle about it, a kind of quiet optimism. You imagine yourself walking along the Thames, a light coat draped over your arm, the air cool but kind. But summer? That's when England really opens up. City parks become gathering spots. Locals spill into pub gardens. Seaside towns like Brighton and Cornwall come alive. It's also when festivals dot the calendar. Music, food, literature, you name it. The longer daylight hours mean more time to explore. You start to consider July, maybe even August, though you also note that prices climb and crowds grow during these months. Then comes autumn, and something about it calls to you. Golden leaves swirling over ancient cobblestones, misty mornings in the countryside, and the warmth of pub interiors glowing through the early dusk. Fewer tourists, better deals, and maybe the perfect time for hearty meals and slower travel. Of course, there's always winter. You'd expect gloom, but you uncover another side. Christmas markets, twinkling lights, warm mulled wine and chilly hands. Sure, the weather is unpredictable. Rain, gray skies, maybe a dusting of snow. But if you're prepared, it's oddly magical. London in December? That might be worth the coat. You consider the practicalities too. Trains run year-round, though extreme weather can cause delays. Accommodation is cheaper in the off-season. And perhaps best of all, you'll feel more like a visitor than a tourist. You flip through your calendar and realize the truth. There's no bad time to visit England. Just different versions of the same beautiful story. Whatever season you choose, it won't define your trip, but it will color it. And now, you're ready to choose your shade. As your itinerary comes together, you begin to wonder, what's it actually like to be there, among the people, the customs, the everyday flow of life? The answer starts with one word: politeness. You soon learn that in England, manners aren't just nice, they're a way of life. Please, thank you, sorry. They're used generously, almost rhythmically. Even if someone bumps into you, they might be the first to apologize. It's not about being overly formal. It's about consideration. And if you really want to blend in, there's one golden rule: never jump the queue. You smile as you read about it. The English love to queue, and more importantly, they love when others respect the queue. Cutting in line, even by mistake, earns you sharp glares and quiet disapproval. No one will yell, confrontation isn't the norm, but that disapproving silence, you'll feel it. So you make a mental note. If there's a line, join the back of it and wait your turn. You also learn about small talk, or rather, the right kind of small talk. In England, it's not about your job or your opinions. It's about the weather. Always safe, always relevant, and the perfect opener in shops, taxis, cafes. Lovely day, isn't it? Or, typical British drizzle today. It seems simple, but it builds a quiet bridge between strangers. Next, you tackle language and accents. Yes, everyone speaks English. But you quickly find that British English isn't exactly what you're used to. Elevators are lifts. Bathrooms are loos. The sidewalk is the pavement. A line is a queue. And if someone says something costs a tenner or 5 quid, they're just talking about pounds. Then there are the accents. A patchwork of sounds and rhythms that change wildly from region to region. From the soft, rounded tones of the South to the sharper, quick-fire speech up north, you might struggle to understand at first. But that's part of the charm. Every place you visit will feel like a new linguistic adventure. Above all, you realize that England is a country of understatement. Emotions are measured, compliments are modest, enthusiasm is wrapped in dry humor. And once you tune into it, you begin to feel more connected. Not as a tourist, but as a thoughtful guest. You won't get everything right, but that's okay. Because in England, effort, quiet, polite, respectful effort, goes a very long way. With your destinations mapped out and your calendar set, it's time to answer the next big question. How will you get around? You begin with the most iconic option, the train. England's rail system, though sprawling and sometimes pricey, is one of the easiest ways to travel between cities. Trains are frequent, clean, and surprisingly scenic. You imagine gazing out the window as rolling hills and stone cottages flash by, a journey in itself. But there's a catch. Tickets can be expensive if you don't plan ahead. You quickly learn the golden rule. Book early. Advance tickets can save you a small fortune. You download the Trainline app, which lets you compare routes across different train operators. Even if there's a small service fee, the convenience is worth it. For flexibility, you discovered the BritRail Pass, a godsend if you're planning lots of train travel. With options ranging from consecutive travel days to flexible 30-day periods, it gives you unlimited travel across the country. You highlight the London Plus Pass, perfect for day trips from the capital, Windsor, Oxford, Bath, and more, all covered. You also read about rail cards, discount cards for travelers aged 16 to 30 or over 60, offering a third off fares. Even if you're only visiting for a short time, one expensive train ride could pay off the whole card. You make a mental note to look into it before you arrive. Still, you want options. Trains are great, but sometimes slower and cheaper is better. That's where coaches, long-distance buses, come in. Companies like Megabus and National Express offer shockingly low fares between major cities, sometimes as little as £5. You trade speed for savings, but for budget travelers, it's a win. As you plan your journeys, you also remind yourself, England drives on the left. Renting a car? Doable, but daunting, especially with narrow country roads and roundabouts. Unless you're heading deep into the countryside, public transport will do just fine. In cities, you find that London's tube is a marvel of efficiency. Once you get the hang of it, you'll need an Oyster card or contactless payment, and always remember, stand on the right side of the escalator. The left is for people in a rush, and blocking it is a beginner's mistake. With every tip, the country feels a little smaller, a little more accessible. You're not just moving from place to place. You're learning how to move through England like a local. By now, your route through England is beginning to take shape, a gentle arc across cities, coastlines, and countryside. But where will you rest your head after each day of wandering? You start with something familiar: hotels. In bigger cities like London, Manchester, or York, chain hotels are easy to find. But what stands out in your research is Premier Inn, a UK-based budget chain that's surprisingly well-reviewed. Clean, quiet, consistent. But here's the trick. They don't show up on booking websites. If you want to reserve a room, you have to book directly on their site. It's a little old school, but totally worth it. Next, you stumble across something more unique: staying in a pub. It sounds strange at first. Pubs, to you, are places to drink, not to sleep. But in England, pubs often have rooms upstairs, offering cozy accommodation with local character. It's not just affordable, it's atmospheric. You imagine a room with creaky floorboards, a view of the village green, and the comforting murmur of laughter downstairs. A pint, a pie, a bed. What more could you ask for? For those looking for comfort and charm, bed and breakfasts, B&Bs, are another great find. Often family-run, they come with home-cooked breakfasts, local tips from your hosts, and a personal touch that hotels just can't match. And then there's the quirky end of the spectrum: converted castles, historic inns, and even canal boats you can sleep on. If you're after something memorable, England doesn't disappoint. If you're on a tighter budget, you also look into hostels, especially in cities. Many have been reimagined with stylish lounges, private rooms, and cafes attached. You realize quickly, hostels in England aren't just for backpackers anymore. No matter where you stay, one thing is consistent: the hospitality is understated, but sincere. You might not get over-the-top service, but you'll feel taken care of in quiet, thoughtful ways. And whether you fall asleep to the hum of a London street, the hush of a country lane, or the chatter of pubgoers below, you know this: where you stay in England isn't just a place to sleep, it's part of the story. You've imagined England's sights: the stone cottages, the rolling countryside, the palaces and cathedrals. But what about the taste of England? Your food journey begins in the most iconic place, the pub. You quickly learn that pubs are not just watering holes, they are the heartbeat of English life. Locals gather here after work, on Sundays, or just because. And the food? Hearty, comforting, and deeply rooted in tradition. You make a list: a full English breakfast: eggs, bacon, sausage, beans, mushrooms, tomatoes, toast. It's not just a meal, it's a rite of passage. Fish and chips, preferably by the sea, wrapped in paper with a splash of vinegar. Sunday roast: roast meat, potatoes, vegetables, and a golden Yorkshire pudding, all smothered in gravy. Sausage rolls, steak and ale pie, bangers and mash. And for dessert, sticky toffee pudding. One bite and you're done for. You're surprised too by the variety. England isn't all brown food and boiled veg. In fact, it's one of the most international places to eat in Europe. From Indian curries to Middle Eastern street food to high-end Japanese, there's something for every craving. You promise yourself to try both the traditional and the global, because both are part of modern English culture. Then there are meal deals, a beautiful invention. A sandwich, a drink, and a snack for under £5 from supermarkets like Tesco, Boots, or Sainsbury's. Perfect for train rides, park picnics, or a quick, budget-friendly bite. Dining out, however, isn't always cheap, so you take note of where to save. Grab breakfast at your hotel or bakery. Look for pub specials or early bird menus. Visit Wetherspoons. Not gourmet, but unbeatable for value, especially if you want a hot meal and a pint on a budget. You also learn a few etiquette tips. Tipping is optional, not expected. 10% is enough, and only for great service. If you see a discretionary service charge on your bill, it's not mandatory. You can ask to remove it. And in casual spots? You often order at the bar or counter, even if it looks like table service. By now, you understand that food in England isn't just nourishment. It's culture, comfort, and community. And every bite brings you closer to the heart of the country. You're fluent in English, or so you thought. But as your trip to England draws closer, you start to realize British English is its own universe. It starts with the simple things. You won't find restrooms. You'll ask for the loo. It's not a line, it's a queue. The trunk of a car? That's the boot. Sidewalk? Pavement. Gas station. Try petrol station. The list grows quickly. An elevator is a lift, a sweater is a jumper, and a cookie is a biscuit. Fries? Chips. And chips? Crisps. You chuckle as you picture yourself confidently ordering chips and receiving the wrong food entirely. You also come across the word quid, slang for pounds. If someone says, "That'll be 10 quid," don't panic. It just means 10 pounds, not some mystery fee. The language itself is rich with expressions you're not used to hearing. If someone says, "You all right?" they're not worried about your health. It's just a casual greeting like, "Hey, how's it going?" But it's not just the words. It's the accents, and England is full of them. You start watching YouTube clips of people from different regions. A Liverpudlian sounds nothing like someone from Cornwall. A Yorkshire farmer might sound like he's speaking a different dialect altogether. Even in London, accents vary dramatically from borough to borough. You quickly learn. There is no single British accent. The one you know from period dramas? That's the received pronunciation, often used on the BBC, but it's not how most people speak. It might take a day or two to adjust your ear, especially in the north, but you begin to look forward to it. Every region, every city, every small town comes with its own flavor of English, and you're excited to hear it all. You remind yourself to speak clearly, but not loudly. The stereotype that North Americans are loud? Unfortunately true. In England, it's better to keep your voice a touch softer than you think necessary. You'll blend in more easily, and likely be treated with more warmth. By now, you're not just learning how to understand people. You're learning how to be understood, with grace, patience, and a dash of curiosity. If there's one thing everyone agrees on about England, it's the weather. Not because it's extreme, but because it's unpredictable. You learn this quickly. Pack for all 4 seasons no matter what time of year you're going. Even in July, you might experience sunshine, wind, drizzle, and a chill, all in a single afternoon. You stop picturing clear skies and start preparing for reality. First, the umbrella. You think about packing one, but seasoned travelers say otherwise. England's wind has a habit of flipping umbrellas inside out. Instead, you invest in the one item everyone swears by: a good waterproof jacket with a hood. Bonus points if it's windproof too. You also make note of England's fashion tone. In general, people dress neatly, with a slight edge of style. You don't need to dress up, but you'll feel more comfortable blending in if you skip the loud prints, gym wear, or bright touristy outfits. Comfortable walking shoes are essential. You'll be doing more walking than you realize, often over cobblestones or uneven paths in the countryside. A pair of supportive sneakers or waterproof boots will serve you better than anything stylish but useless. You consider layering your outfits. Temperatures can shift from cool to warm in a matter of minutes, especially in spring and fall. A light sweater, scarf, and a jacket let you adjust on the go. Then there's adapters. If you're coming from outside the UK, don't forget the plug difference. You'll need a Type G adapter, the one with 3 rectangular prongs. Better yet, bring a universal adapter with USB ports so you can charge multiple devices at once. If you're traveling with tech, you pack a power bank. Long days of sightseeing drain your phone fast, especially when using maps or translation apps. And speaking of your phone, keep a small crossbody bag or zipped backpack to store it securely. You've heard about phone snatchers on bikes in big cities, and you'd rather be safe than sorry. You glance over your pile of packed clothes and smile. This isn't just about staying dry or warm. It's about being ready for anything. Rain, sun, delays, discoveries. Because in England, the forecast may say one thing, but the experience will say another. As your departure date nears, you start thinking not just about what to see or eat, but how to stay safe while exploring England. Fortunately, you learn that England is generally a safe, traveler-friendly country, especially if you stay alert and aware. Pickpocketing? Not a major issue here, especially compared to tourist-heavy cities in mainland Europe. But that doesn't mean you should let your guard down entirely. In crowded areas, the London Underground, busy shopping streets, or public events, you still keep your valuables zipped and close. Then you hear about a growing trend: phone snatching, especially in cities like London. It happens in a blink. Someone on a bike or scooter grabs your phone from your hand as you're texting or taking photos near the street. The advice is clear. When you're close to traffic or standing near curbs, keep your phone tucked away or hold it securely with both hands. It's a small shift, but it makes you feel more in control. You decide to use a crossbody bag or anti-theft backpack and to avoid dangling your phone in your hand when walking through urban areas. Beyond theft, there's little to fear. Violent crime is rare. Locals are helpful, and in case of emergency, the number to dial is 999, not 911. You save it to your phone just in case. You also learn about a few cultural nuances that help you avoid social friction, like standing on the right side of the escalator, never the left, that's for walking, or being mindful of personal space. Even on a packed tube train, people try not to brush shoulders. And when it comes to paying, you're happy to learn that England is increasingly card-only. Tap to pay is the norm, and cash is fading fast. A good travel credit card, or a Wise card, which lets you hold GBP and avoid fees, will serve you well. You still keep a little cash for emergencies, but most of the time, your card is all you need. Your confidence grows. You don't feel nervous. You feel prepared. You won't let safety worries spoil your experience, because being ready doesn't mean being scared. It means traveling smarter, so you can explore more freely. The day you arrive in England, everything feels slightly surreal. The double-decker buses, the black cabs, the soft drizzle falling on ancient cobblestones. It's all familiar, yet new. Your trip doesn't go perfectly, of course. Trains run late. You mispronounce Gloucester. You momentarily forget which side of the road the cars are coming from and nearly step into traffic. But none of that ruins anything. In fact, those are the moments that stay with you most. You remember the warmth of strangers, the shopkeeper who laughed gently when you called the queue a line, the pub server who explained the difference between a bitter and an ale, the woman on the train who helped you find your stop and wished you cheers as she left. You remember wandering off your itinerary. You found yourself in a quiet lane in York, or a coastal path in Cornwall, or a village green somewhere between here and there, places you hadn't marked on any map. But in those unscripted moments, you felt the real soul of the country. You remember how the countryside unfolded before you, with sheep-dotted hills, stone walls, and crooked houses leaning gently into time. You remember how London felt electric and historic all at once, with centuries of stories tucked behind every facade. You learned the rhythm of the place, not just the words and the rules, but the tone. You slowed down. You observed. You whispered in churches and smiled in queues. You adapted, one small choice at a time. And when the day comes to leave, it's harder than you thought. Not because there's still more to see, there always is, but because this trip has shifted something in you. You arrived a visitor. You're leaving as someone who understands England, not just as a tourist destination, but as a living, breathing culture. You've learned the quirks, respected the customs, and tasted its humor, humility, and warmth. You found magic not only in castles and cathedrals, but also in rainy walks, crispy chips, and unexpected conversations. As your plane lifts into the clouds, you look out the window and smile. You came looking for a destination. What you found was a story, and England let you write yourself into it.